Hey there, everybody out there in YouTube land. Jake from the One Man Band here, and as you can tell by my shirt, it is time for another in-depth look / review of one of the RWBY episodes. This time, episode 2. Alrighty, so basically, I'm gonna try to cut these down a little bit so they're more short, sweet, to the point. So basically, here's the overall review, cut down summary of the actual episode. If you haven't watched the episode, I suggest you go. The link's going to be in the description. Basically, Yang and RWBY arrive at Beacon Academy. There, Yang basically just ditches her sister to go be with her friends. RWBY's left alone, and then she meets Weiss, Blake, and a new character called John Arc. And then she proceeds to basically be picked on by Weiss, abandoned by Blake, and basically Jean basically stays with her and they get to know each other as they walk around the campus. Alrighty, big thing about this episode is the characters. It introduces 3 new characters to the story. 2 of them being the main characters that's names are actually part of the acronym that makes up the title. We have Weiss, representing white. Who is she? She is not a princess, but an heiress. An heiress of a very powerful company that specializes in mining dust. Dust powder, dust crystals, I guess. And as you remember from the last video that I did, dust is basically this stuff that empowers things such as weapons and people. And also, they are also known for, once again, there being a big corporation, having strange dealings, strange partnerships, strange work, quotas and conditions. And these are all accusations thrown at Weiss by Blake. But anyway, she seems to take that insult quite to heart, I guess, which I don't know about you, but I guess that may mean that her family has actually done stuff like that. But anyway, the overall view we get of Weiss in this episode is that she's kind of stuck up. She thinks she's kind of better than everyone. She probably looks down on everyone. And she even has orderlies taking her luggage to her dorm or whatever. If you look in the background in a specific part of the episode, it's right after Weiss leaves RWBY. You can see some guys carting her stuff away. I mean, that's obviously a sign that she has money, she has power, and she basically knows it. Next character to be introduced is the last main character of the series that needs to be introduced, Blake Belladonna, representing Black. And she has even a smaller introduction than Weiss did. She's basically there to just throw accusations at Weiss about her company, and then basically just leave RWBY sitting there all alone. So, once again, Blake is probably going to play the mysterious, loner type girl. This probably is stating that Blake is a character who probably knows a lot and has seen a lot, but doesn't really want to talk to anyone about it. That probably goes back to what she was doing in her actual trailer, which actually is one of the big things I want to talk about. Since Weiss's family are miners of dust and such, during Black's trailer, Blake and Adam were actually attacking a train owned by Weiss's family. You can tell by the symbols that are on the boxes in the train. And if you want to hear more about this, I suggest checking out my Black trailer review. Once again, link in the description. But does this mean that Blake and Adam were sabotaging dust that had been mined by Weiss's family? Why would they do that? Dust is used to fight the evil grim creatures that have been plaguing humanity since the dawn of time, basically. Are they some part of maybe like a rival company, or maybe something a little bit more sinister? I can't wait to see what happens with this whole new line of theory that I got going on. Alright, last character to be introduced was Vomit Boy from the previous episode and from this episode. The guy that got motion sickness on the ship and basically yacked up his entire lunch at the beginning of the episode. His real name, Jean Arc. And as he says, it's basically, it rolls right off the tongue and the ladies love it. But this guy isn't really the big macho kind of cool guy that you think he might be. He's actually quite awkward. He's a pretty awkward character, especially around girls. When he's walking around with RWBY, he doesn't seem to know what really to do. Possible love interest? Maybe? His weapon of choice is actually pretty simple, a sword and a shield. And there's basically not that much special about him. The shield is collapsible and becomes his sheath, but besides that, it's basically just basic weapons. He states that this weapon belonged to his great-great-grandfather when he used it in the Great War. Does this mean the Great War with the Grim Monsters? Pretty sure, due to the fact that they are the real enemies of humanity, and would also lead Jean to become a hunter, because his great-great-grandfather was, and he has to live up to his family name, which is probably why he's actually at this academy. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, and if you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it. But in the trailer, he isn't really coordinated with the weapon. I mean, it may just because he's standing next to a pretty girl or something like that, but he's fumbling around with it, and he's just like, obviously, I don't think he's really all that well trained with it. Until later on in the series when we actually see him in action, I'm going to stick with that concept, that he obviously isn't that coordinated with the weapon. He's just there because his family wants him to be there, and something like that. Alrighty, characters put aside, I'm going to basically point out some other key factors that I thought were part of the episode. 1. The actual main tower spire of Beacon Academy. It represents the tower spire that was in the intro at the beginning of the first episode. So this, I'm basically thinking that this means that Beacon Academy has been the first academy to ever bring up hunters and huntresses, and that the icon in the center is like the symbol of dust, probably. There may be some more meaning to it, but until more details come abroad, we're basically going to just have to sit on that. You know, put a pin in it, put it on the wall, and all that. Next, we're once again introduced to RWBY's basic obsessional love of weaponry. I mean, when she starts to see all the weapons, she goes all cutie anime character and is basically floating around going, oh, look at that, oh, that's so amazing, and it's funny. I got a real kick out of that part. But anyway, she takes the whole love for weapons, she states that they're kind of like people, which makes me think she probably isn't all that comfortable around people. She's more comfortable around weaponry and what the weapon says about the person instead of the person themselves. This is probably going to cause her problems and kind of a social gap in the series. I mean, if she's always obsessed with weapons and always looking at the weapon, she's not going to be focusing on the people. So, something to think about right there. Adding to that, when she's walking around with Jean and they basically hit a brick wall in their conversation, how does she break the ice? By busting out her weapon and saying, hey, look at this, isn't it awesome? I built this thing, it's the Crescent Rose. And he's like, oh, really? Well, you built that thing? She's like, yeah, I'm a genius. We're supposed to all build our weapons at Signal Academy. And she breaks the ice with her weapon, which means she's comfortable with weapons. She's not comfortable with people. Once again, building on top of that. Alright. Alright, so this is basically all the stuff I basically got out of this episode. If you guys think I missed anything or need to touch up on anything, please let me know in the comments down below, or personal message me, whatever you need. I mean, I just love getting feedback from you guys, and once again, I hope you've enjoyed this in-depth review / overlook of RWBY Episode 2. If If you haven't seen the episode, you've had no idea what I've been talking about, and you need to go see it right now. Link is in the description, and I will see you guys next week when I do episode 3. Yeah!